When it comes to crypto and blockchain and stuff, how do you feel about that?
I think it's a big part of the future.
Right.
I really, really do. But I think people are looking at it the wrong way. People get really amped up about the price of the currency, cryptocurrencies, right? The tokens. And they think that's really what crypto is, but it's not. That's the noise, right? The signal is, if I were going to start a business, how can I use this new technology to give myself a competitive advantage and disrupt an industry?
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And guys, I come back with that video just to make you think. And Mark Cuban says crypto and blockchain is going to be a big part of the future. And we know he's an NWO puppet also. He knows all about the fourth industrial revolution. The billionaires only tell you half truth. And he stated that people are getting amped up on the price of crypto. Guys, we see billions and billions of dollars being made on betting on the price. That's the reason why they're amped up. The same way if you look at Apple, who has a great product, but they're on the stock market, so people are making plenty of money. Nike, Google, Amazon, that is the whole point of the market. But you have to look at both, the actual underlying technology and making money off the product. And then we have Paxos. Paxos is going to play a big role in the fourth industrial revolution. I've done plenty of videos on it. Real-time settlement is going to change the global markets because it's going to free up trillions of dollars of liquidity. Plus, he talks about stable coins. And we know stable coins are the foundation of this crypto economy because it's just like dollars. But the fact is they will be able to be programmed, telling you what, where, and when and how to buy it. Remember what David R3 stated. If you want to boost the economy, and eventually that will be needed, because we know the U.S. is broke and we're going to be added into a recession. That's the reason why the Fed is raising rates. That free money is going to be airdropped. They're going to have 3 to 6 months to spend it or poof, it's gone. No more savings, people. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you because he knows. When it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Paxos, you guys have a stable coin. Tell us what's different about what Paxos is working on versus, say, Circle or some of the other options out there.
Yeah, I think the maybe number one difference between us and others is that we have a regulated stablecoin. So we have a primary regulator that oversees not just us, but the stablecoin. And that's important because it really creates the right type of trustworthiness and consumer protections, we think, to be something that can be mainstream adopted. Not just in the early adopter crypto community, but for goods and services, for all types of everyday payments. And I think that's actually be a theme that we're going to see this year, is how stablecoins become more broadly used. There's a lot of mainstream and large financial institutions that are starting to think about how they can get involved. And I think they need that type of safety and trustworthiness in order to really be involved in the space.
What do you mean when you say it's regulated and others are not? Do you just have one sole regulator that looks over this, or dive into that?
Yeah, I know there's a lot of different ways to construct a stablecoin. I think probably the key way that we're doing it is we use our trust company in the state of New York. And what that means is we're holding our client assets bankruptcy remote, fully segregated. If anything happens to Paxos, the client's money is safe. And on top of that, our token itself is regulated by the Department of Financial Services. So that means that there's one primary regulator that's overlooking everything we do. Not one state regulator, another state regulator doing different things in different places, or maybe even completely unregulated in many instances. And I think we're really the only stablecoin regulator that can say that, because we've gone through the hard work of building a regulatory regime that we operate under with the Department of Financial Services in New York.
And so as far as some of the other options out there, there's a lot of stablecoins being built overseas. Luna and Terra comes to mind, the idea of an algorithmic stablecoin that in some cases is backed by Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. You've had some thoughts on that.
Yeah.
What's your take on the risk?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to understand that stablecoins are a class, and they're not all one thing. So you could have a stablecoin that's backed by T-bills, and you can have a stablecoin that's backed by commercial loans. That's not really the same thing. You can call it the same thing, but it's not. And then you could have a stablecoin that's not really backed by anything. And that is, in some sense, what an algorithmic stablecoin is. And that's not necessarily bad, but it's not a stablecoin. And I think it's really important to get the naming right, because consumers and users are expecting a certain type of product that has a certain type of safety. And if you don't have it, that's not a problem, but it is if you're confusing the end user. And that's where I think it can be potentially destabilizing, is that you think you have a stable coin, but it's not backed by something. Something happens, there could be a run, and how do you actually protect users?
And what about the interest rate? They offer something like 20% as an incentive to buy these tokens. If that were to run out, do you think people would still be going to that particular stablecoin as far as an option here?
I mean, this is one of the wild cards in the space, is that there's a lot of incentives that are being given out to get users. Now, that's not unusual. Banks used to give out toaster ovens, and there's all kinds of incentives that people give in order to attract new adopters. So I don't think there's anything per se wrong with that. It's what are you attracting them to? Do they really understand what they're being attracted into? And so if they don't, and you're giving really big incentives, it could create a destabilization. And that's the last thing you want. You don't want to destabilize stablecoin. The whole point is that you're trying to create a payment mechanism that you can use in any circumstance, but now you might not be able to.
And U.S. regulators have been particularly worried about financial stability when it comes to stablecoins and the idea that they're backed by commercial paper and a variety of different traditional financial assets. Any truth behind that and the idea that there's a risk to financial stability in the stablecoin market and the ones that are backed by short-term debt?
Well, I think at the end of the day, it's important to look at the size of the stablecoin market. And so maybe globally it's $150 to $200 billion. That's pretty small. If you think about the total money supply in the U.S., it's maybe 60 trillion, depends on how you measure it. So this is a drop in the bucket. On the other hand, it could grow very rapidly. And so what you want to do is, on the one hand, allow innovation. On the other hand, make sure that it's safe, that there's the right disclosures. I think that's the right balance to try and take. I'm not sure at today's size that it's a systemic risk. But clearly, if it grows very significantly, it could easily be systemic. And so in some ways, you want to lay the right foundation while not, the other hand, stifling innovation. I just think that disclosure is the key here.
And what about central bank digital currencies? If the U.S. were to launch a dollar coin, would that threaten your business? And how would that relationship work between the private market stablecoins and a Fed coin?
So for us, we're for the right type of public policy. We want to tokenize all of the world's assets. And so dollars are an important one, but they're not the only thing. There's $700 trillion of them. So there's a lot of room out there. So if the U.S. government was to come out and create a stablecoin that really fit well with user needs, I think that would be great. On the other hand, it's not easy to figure out exactly how to construct a stablecoin today. We think we know, but again, it's very small. It's just for an early adopter community. What would really work for wider societal adoption? I don't think we figured that out yet. I think there needs to be more iterations that happen, and that's where the private sector can be very helpful and a partner for the public sector. And I think that this process of iteration is something that the private sector does much better than the government. Really, is the government going to be great at moving nimbly and thinking about what is the next niche that needs to be fixed? It tends not to be, and that's where we can be a very good partner. I think that's actually one of the natures of our whole financial and economic system, is that there's a private-public partnership that happens.
We're going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology, and I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
This effort. And China has big plans for this. They intend to seed their digital yuan into the global environment by giving it away to visitors at next winter's Olympics. When they arrive at the airport, they're going to get yuan digital wallets. They're going to receive digital yuan. They're going to use it throughout their visits to Beijing, and then they're going to take it back to their home countries. They see this as a huge advantage. Why? Because who controls the underlying protocols, who controls the underlying standards of the future of money will control the future of money.
Powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York. Clothing Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.